Regular meeting for August for Allendale County Council. Mr. Robinson, will you lead us in the invocation?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Let us pray. Oh, Heavenly Father, we beseech Thee as we gather this evening. Thank You for this day. Thank You for this time to give back to the citizen of Allendale County. May the things that we do this evening will strengthen and also continue to keep this community intact. These are all blessings we ask in our holy and most merciful name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
We do have a quorum, so moving on, approval of agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Approval of minutes.
Mr. Chair, if I may ask that since we don't have no minutes, that we table the minutes to the next meeting, since we don't have any. And Ms. Judy, you need to clarify, please tell us what minutes that's missing so we will know what to look for in the future. I said the minutes that's not in our package, would you mind clarifying which ones that's missing so we'll know in our next package that what we need to receive, to read?
It's July the 12th and July the 21st.
All right. I'd like to welcome everybody out tonight. We're missing a couple of our councilmen, but they had other obligations. So at this time, we'll start with public comments. Ms. Lena Owens Green, comments about roads in the St. Mark community.
Ms. Green, would you come up, please?
Oh, okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
My concern is about the roads out where I live. The county maintained their dirt roads. And one is 966 Best Loop. And the one is 125 Bailey Lane. And they're dirt roads. The 966 Best Loop haven't been maintained in months. And why I can say that is because grass is growing in the center of the road. I have a low car, so that means that my car is, the middle of the road is hitting under the car. It hasn't been scraped in months. We're paying taxes. We have a council person that's supposed to represent us. The other road, Best Loop, the county might as well make a pond. The road, when it rains, it's full of water. It's been doing that for years now. I took pictures, even when Councilman Pinckney was in the office. They sent somebody last week when I made a call. Must have been a child using the machine. What they did just a little front part of the road. They did not even go back to 966 Best Loop. Why is there so much negligence? We live in that community. We pay taxes. We have a council person. What's the problem? Do we need to go to our senators, our representatives, and let them know what's? I called Mr. McIntosh. He's over the naming of the roads. They addressed me protocol. Come to the meeting. I'm here tonight. And I'm letting you know.
Okay.
We need help.
Okay.
It's not, that road shouldn't look like that. Those roads should not be like that.
I agree. We'll get somebody on. Thank you. Sorry for the trouble you're having. I know we've got a lot of trouble with a lot of road equipment that we have, and that's not an excuse. But we will. I'll ask Mr. Mole to maybe get with Mr. All and see what we can get.
And I will not give up.
Well,
I will not.
We'll definitely get it handled for you.
Okay.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you all.
Mr. Ryan Houndshell and Ms. Deborah Creech about airport grants.
Good evening, everyone. Deborah's handing out a form here. This is a line item breakdown for an apron reconstruction project out at the Allendale County Airport. And this project has been bid and we identified the low bidder and submitted grant applications to the FAA as well as SCAC. So what we're requesting tonight is, I guess, approval to sign contracts with Reeves Construction, who is the low bidder, and as well as Holt Consulting for professional services to move forward with the project. The status, there are 3 grants that were applied for, 2 with the FAA and 1 with the South Carolina Aeronautics Commission. And 1 with the FAA has already been fully executed, and that grant total is $1,345,599, $1,345,599. And South Carolina Aeronautics Commission has also put out a grant offer for their portion, 5%, which is $80,867. So I guess to bring it all together, the FAA is going to contribute 90% of the funding required for this project. The state share is 5%, and the local share, Allendale County share, is 5%. And that total for the county would be $80,867. The total project with the FAA share, the state share, and the local share is $1,617,333.
Couple questions.
Yes, sir.
What's the timeline on that in terms of start, finish?
Based on what Reeves was telling us, they anticipate starting sometime this fall, potentially September. They can get started as soon as the contracts are executed, and then anticipate finishing in early December.
3 months, 3.5?
Yes, sir. Contractually, I think they have 120 days.
Okay. Would that affect any of the takeoff and landing?
The airport will still be open, the runway and the taxiways will be open. It will have an impact for tenants that are in the hangar facility and on the apron. We did have a pre-construction meeting with Reeves yesterday, and they'll coordinate with Deborah to minimize any impacts to users.
So what do you need from us tonight?
So we just need approval to move forward with the contract for both Reeves and Holt, and then fully execute the grant offer from South Carolina Aeronautics Commission.
You need signatures.
Y'all need to decide who's going to sign these contracts. They brought them to Mr. Moe to sign, but I advised him not to sign anything until he checked with y'all to see if y'all will authorize him, or if y'all wanted the chairperson to sign, or if all of you wanted to sign.
Yes, sir.
The other question I have, our money, our share, 5%, will that come from our annual monies that we get from FAA? Can we use some of that?
The county gets entitlement funds from the FAA, but those are part of what the FAA, their portion.
They're going
So it'll be the county's portion to come up with that 5%.
so we can't touch the annual entitlement to match our 5%.
No, sir, it's included with what they
Okay.
are getting.
And
Yes,
I
sir.
think this, if I remember correctly, a couple months ago, y'all came and kind of put us on alert for this.
Last month.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
it's been longer.
Y'all did approve it
Yes, we
for the
did.
80,000.
We did. And I just for the record, I make a motion that we, once again, approve the allocation, our 5%. And also, I would say that we will assign the chairperson to sign the contract.
Okay, do you know when? Because like they needed that yesterday signed.
Oh.
We have the paperwork, the lawyer has the paperwork.
Okay, we back up and we'll sign, we'll let our interim administrator, Mr. Joe Moe, sign the documents for this particular grant.
Thank you.
Okay.
As well as actually that is calling for, and that's why I'm talking about, it's calling for the owner to sign, which that's why we.
He can't act in
I
it.
think they've got the documents for him to sign, he could just sign it tonight.
Okay, so what are we saying? We don't want Joe to do it, or we can back up to the
I think
chairperson?
Joe would prefer the chairperson. to-
Okay, all right. Then I recant that motion and let my first motion stands that we allow the chairperson of the county council to sign the contractual documents for the airport apron rework, reconstruction.
We've got a motion, I have a second.
Second for the chair, yes.
We've got a motion and a second to approve 5% expenditures for the matching of the grant and to allow the chairman to sign the grant. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Let us know when they start work, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Ms. Tony Major?
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak, and I'll be short. At the July 21st, 2022 County Council meeting, Councilwoman Taylor presented a list of documents from the auditor stating what he still needed to complete our audit. Former Administrator Goodson stated that same evening that he was taking a box to Columbia the next day. My question is, does the auditor have the documents needed to complete the audit now?
The auditor, Mr. Goodson, did take a couple of those items to him. Ms. Bridges and Ms. Christy Hudson have been working this week and last week, and they've gotten several things to the auditor. They've really done a great job. And I think Ms. Taylor's going to address some things later on.
I got something, Ms. Major, that I'm addressing, that I just got from the auditors today, an email at 4:25.
Okay. And then my other thing was, on the agenda for the August 9th emergency meeting, 3 things were listed for executive session in the agenda. When we came back into session, public session, the interim administrator was addressed, as well as money to support Ann Rice's project. There was never a mention about the audit, which was the 3rd item on the agenda. Why is the public not being made aware of decisions being made in executive session? Unless it is something highly confidential, it would seem appropriate to address actions either taken or not taken on the
We didn't,
on the
in this way,
agenda.
we didn't take any action on it. Basically, we were just speaking about the importance of it and
Yeah,
getting with the
my
girls.
point is when you come back out, at least acknowledge that it was on the agenda, you know, that nothing was done or what is being done or whatever. Because it's just kind of like it just got blown by. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, they're not, Mr. Chairman, I mean, they're not allowed to make any decisions in executive session.
I know,
But everything that's said in executive session is not to be disclosed.
right. So no determination was made, that's all.
You know, any decisions they make, they have to make it in open.
Oh, I know that, but I mean, they just didn't say anything, like no decisions were made or anything.
All right. Let's see. We got one visitor, Mr. Jason Eckenstein, Regional Director. Eckenstein, Regional Director for AT&T South Carolina. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, members of council. Thanks for giving me a moment to speak with you today. Again, my name is Jason Eckenstein. I'm AT&T's Regional Director for External Affairs for Eastern South Carolina. And here to talk with you today about the state's Broadband Grants program that's being administered by the Office of Regulatory Staff. AT&T's invested significantly over the years in wired and wireless networks in the state. More recently, over the last 3 years, that total is approaching $800 million. And even with that investment, we know it's abundantly clear there is a number of unserved households around the state and in Allendale County. And with that, the state appropriated monies to the ORS to help with broadband expansion. And that's being conducted through a competitive grants program that's currently open. That grants window closes on August the 31st. The state provided mapping data to designate where there are high priority unserved areas, and AT&T's been evaluating that mapping data, overlaying that with our network to understand where we could cost effectively to the state extend our network into these unserved areas. and we plan to submit an application for Allendale County. The ORS encourages us to build consensus with those in the community and community leaders that support our efforts to help, bridge the digital divide by way of submitting the application. And so we have been requesting of various county councils and chambers and United Ways and others a letter of support. And it's a fairly generic letter of support, and it's not exclusive to AT&T. We would certainly expect you all to endorse any qualified service providers that are wishing to submit a grant for Allendale County. And so that's the ask today, is the county's support of our application that we'll be submitting next week most likely, and certainly by the deadline. I have received support letters already from the SCA, and Dean Cohn sent me an email this afternoon that she will also provide a support letter. In terms of the network, if you will, the infrastructure, without getting too deep in the technical weeds, it is a complete fiber optic network that we deploy. It's called passive optical networking. It is symmetrical, meaning your download speeds and your upload speeds are the same, unlike the legacy services, DSL, where they were not the same. And the fiber services, wired fiber services, do not have data caps or data limitations, and those are all requirements from the ORS grant program. And happy to answer any questions that you have about that.
Jason, could you tell us, based on the Allendale map and countywide, will you be able to cover the entire county?
I cannot say that with certainty right now. And I have not exactly been privy to all of the data, and I will say that. The state's coverage is divided into census blocks. And AT&T, formerly Bell South, formerly Southern Bell, we've got a long heritage of sort of building our networks the way we have. And so our areas are called distribution areas. And so we're trying to overlay our distribution areas, which is the area we can serve from a focal point, over those census blocks. So it's a little bit like putting a round peg in a square hole, if you will. So I can't say at this moment how much of that area will be. I can tell you it's going to be every bit that we can get to cost effectively for the state. Again, it is a competitive process, so we need to be cost effective for the state's monies. And then once we submit our application after 8/31, if I'm allowed, I'll be happy to come back and talk more specifically about the areas we have submitted for.
Will the state award various vendors, or will AT&T will have our region, or is that still pretty much unknown?
So that will be up to the ORS. They have established their own scoring criteria, part of which is letters of support. And so through their weighting and scoring, they're going to determine who's the most qualified service provider, I presume on a census block by census block basis.
Okay.
And so it really also depends on what other service providers show up for Allendale, and then what what their financials look like.
And Southern Carolina Alliance, our economic development arm, have they been supported?
Yes, sir. I have the letter of support from Mr. Fleming, and as I mentioned, Dean Cohn dropped me an email back as I was walking into session here that she would also supply a letter. And then my state director, Terrence, who speaks with the ORS regularly, he's requesting a letter of your state senator.
And this, sorry, this is the sample letter that you asked us to take a look at?
Yes, sir, and that's the same version from SCA, from USC Salk, and then other counties that we're talking to.
And again, just to be clear, this will not, if another provider comes in for asking for a letter of support, it won't prevent us from giving them a letter of support.
Please no, we ask you to
We're not
support.
committed to just AT&T.
Not at all. We ask you. It's going to take all of us to fix this, and that's the cable companies, the legacy telcos, the rural power companies. So yes, any qualified internet service provider that sought your support, 100%. We think that's the right answer.
And your drop dead date is the 31st?
That is our drop dead date to submit. We like to turn our homework in early. So early, middle part of next week would give me a gold star, if you will.
Okay. All right.
All right, y'all wanna,
Make a motion that we send a letter of endorsement for the AT&T proposal to the ORS.
Yes, and you can actually send it to me, and then we'll submit it with our application.
all right, we got a motion, we'll hear a second.
And I just want to emphasize, it will not stop. I know you say no, but I want to clear it up, because we want to make sure all our citizens are served. If by giving you this letter of support, does not mean that no other, like Atlanta Broadband or Verizon or anybody else cannot come in here and do work.
You are correct.
Another thing, and you said you're located in a certain area. And I'm skeptical about saying second, because I like to see what areas you're talking about. Not just, because if you could do a certain area and then someone else come in and do the other part of the area, that would be awesome.
And the ORS will make that determination as they evaluate what I hope will be multiple grant applications for Allendale County, not just AT&T, but other service
Right.
providers. And so I think the ORS, and they've got some sharp folks there, will look at the census blocks that we submit, the census blocks that others submit, and make the right determinations so that they get the most coverage for the county that they can for their $180 million that they're looking to spend
And
in the
hopefully
state.
they won't overlap.
Ma'am?
Hopefully they won't overlap.
And that's one of the criteria. So not only are they not looking to overbuild through this, but they're not taking applications that overbuild existing service providers. So if you have a fiber-based or a cable operator there now, they're not considering grants that will overbuild that with a second service provider. This is all about getting to their unserved areas, folks that don't have it today, and they have also looked at Department of Ed data to know where there are households that have school children that don't have service. So this is all about getting to the unserved areas.
Awesome.
And we're looking at 13 days before the deadline. And you're the only provider that has approached council for a letter of support. So whoever's out there, only got 13 days.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
So we have a motion to provide a support letter to AT&T to the ORS for broadband coverage for the county. Is there any more discussion? Well, our IT director back here, Donna, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
No discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
The people out here can't say anything, right? We can't say anything, right?
If you have a question, that'll be fine with me.
With him. Are the schools involved in this? Allendale County schools?
The schools already have fiber optics connecting all of them.
What I'm saying is, what I'm saying is the children in the areas. I live out in St. Mark. Many of the children don't have Wi-Fi because AT&T don't have towers that, they don't have towers, because some have to come to my house and use it.
Right.
My Wi-Fi, I have to pay $80 a month for Wi-Fi. And that's what I'm saying, will it affiliate the schools? And I say schools, I'm talking about the children. of
At their
schools.
homes?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So the mapping data from the state took into consideration information from the Department of Education that says these are households where there are school children that don't have broadband. And so that and other data points fed into their mapping to produce these unserved high priority areas. So yes, it is looking to solve for the homes where the school children are.
You have a card on your card for your legal pay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, moving right along, got council reports. Mr. Gooden's not here, so I'll start. I'm the chair of the Public Safety Committee, so I've got some Public Safety Committee reports. Sheriff's Department had 44 animal calls this month. They had 13 dogs picked up and 8 cases, citations, I guess. Town calls of Allendale that the sheriff responded to was 69 calls, had 10 arrests and 6 citations. 288 county calls with 21 arrests and 48 citations. Had a total of 9 driver's license checkpoints throughout the month. And they've got a breakdown of arrests. I don't think we probably get through all that, but looks like they've been busy.
Yeah.
Also, the fire department, it's had a total of 37 calls this month. They've still got, a lot of apparatus problems. They got a lot of pump problems and truck problems, and I talked to Chief Stanley today, and he's adamant about getting these things fixed as soon as possible. He needs our approval to do so because he's not sure what's left in his budget. He's been asking for it and has not received it. He has been made aware that the county is due for an ISO audit, and he feels that if these needs aren't met, that we could
Lose the rating?
possibly lose the rating that we currently have, and I don't think anybody wants that. So, he also wants to know, he also inquired about the $1 million grant that we received, and he wants to know when he can start making those orders. The money is available for him to do so at this time, and I know we have the money, the matching funds to match. His biggest concern was if they don't have a fire truck on the line, that it would take up to 2 years to build a new one. And I don't think we need to wait 2 years on a truck if we don't have to. So I'd like to entertain a motion that we allow Chief Stanley to proceed as he sees fit with the USDA grant to get some of his equipment ordered. And
I make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Is there a match, or he got his match?
no, it's 25% match.
So he has that?
No,
We have that.
We're gonna use the ARPA funds
Gotcha.
for that.
Okay.
We know we talked
Yeah.
about leaving that for that purpose only.
I second that motion, sir.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to allow Chief Stanley to proceed with the USDA grant. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do we want to, I think he's got one major problem with the truck. He's got 4 or 5 small problems. Do we want to allow him to go ahead and fix those problems? That way if we get this ISO audit, that he'll be prepared for it.
We're gonna need to.
And he says the smaller problems, were, he didn't have an exact quote or figure, but he didn't seem to think that it would be major money. He does have one major problem, but maybe we can hold off on that till we get a better feel for it. So,
Well, that rating is so important for our insurance premium, so whatever we can do to maintain. We'd like to see it increase to lower our payments.
Yes.
But if we don't want to lose and want it to go up, so anything we can do to kind of at least maintain the existing ISO rating, I think we need to go ahead and do that. And I'm certainly make a motion that we allow him to go ahead and make the necessary repairs.
we've got a motion on the floor to allow Chief Stanley to make necessary repairs for the equipment that he has down. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, Allendale County EMS report. We are down to 1 county EMT. And Mr. Sabb is adamant about making some hires. Of course, the nonprofits basically providing all the manpower and doing mostly all the work. So I think they had 118 emergency calls over the month. He's got some personnel requests that I think we should talk about in executive session. And he wanted to request authorization from the county council to authorize the county's auditing firm to audit the finances of the Allendale County Rescue Squad for this past fiscal year. He stated for the past 2 years, Allendale County Rescue Squad has incurred fines due to our 990 forms being returned late to the IRS. Before my tenure, the county, this is Mr. Sabb, before his tenure, the county agreed to pay for the ACRS audit so they could see the financial state of the nonprofit organization. We have closed out our 2022 fiscal yearbooks, and they are now ready for review. So he's wanting to know if we would allow our auditing firm to audit the nonprofit side at our expense.
I think we've done that in the past. and I think we should continue it. So my motion would be that we allow our auditing firm to audit the Allendale County Rescue Squad Department.
Got a motion on the floor to allow our audit firm to audit the Allendale County Rescue Squad. Have a second?
Who is our audit firm, may I ask?
It'd be
McGregor.
McGregor.
Okay. Would that be a problem in getting ours done if we give it to,
It's
because we ain't getting.
it's such a small piece.
Well, I think we can
Yeah.
definitely make it clear that we want ours done first.
Okay.
We got a lot of state money being held up, so.
Okay.
You want to second that, Ms. Taylor?
Yes, sir, I'll second it.
We got a motion and a second to approve McGregor to audit the Allendale County Rescue Squad's books for this current year. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. They also had he said Medic 8 has been officially removed from the DHEC list of ambulances. It's been stripped and ready for delivery to the coroner's office. He is requesting that the F-150 pickup and the ambulance that's at the public workshop that's currently in the county's name be transferred to the Allendale County Rescue Squad. And basically he's just requesting that those titles be transferred over to them.
Have you had a chance to talk with him?
I did. He, you know, they're using the equipment, the pickup, the ambulance, if I remember correctly, he said has a good box on it. They were gonna take that box off and possibly, get a new chassis truck to put it on and to get another unit in service. But to do that, obviously, he would need the title in their name to be able to do that.
Well, when we were at the conference a couple of weeks ago, I stopped by the EMA, the state EMA booth, and our director's name came up. He had just, within minutes, became a member of SCEMA, which is about $1,200. But with that comes a lot of benefits like training, etc. And so Liz seemed to be on top of it. And the director, state director of the SCEMA is pretty thrilled to come down and train new EMTs, etc. So it's really, really could be a plus, you know, for the county to homegrown our own EMTs. So, and I think Liz has been pretty proactive in doing that. So.
Yes. So we have any?
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and accept his request.
Okay, a second? All right, got a motion and a second to accept, or to allow the transfer of the titles for the F-150 pickup and the ambulance to be transferred over to Allendale County Rescue Squad. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, Allendale County Detention Center. They served 1,702 meals for the month, had 32 total inmates arrested, 5 by Allendale Police, 16 by the sheriff, 1 by probation, 1 for highway patrol, 9 by Fairfax, 17 daily detainees housed, had 6 transports. She's got an urgent need. I think Donnie can probably go over this a little bit. Their live scan program, which does the digital fingerprinting, from what I understand, is no longer up to date, and they've got to replace some software. Is that right, Donnie, to make that happen?
That's right. It was 2 parts. She called me today and she said, she asked me if I'd discussed it in executive session tonight. I'll be glad to do it either way, but I don't have one of the papers with me right now.
Yeah, she sent us a letter that came from SLED, and I put it in this packet from the, basically a SLED telling them that it's got to be done, and if it's not done by a certain date, that they're not going to get any resources or grants from SLED or FBI. The total cost for that software that she's needing is $6,650, and I think that has to be done. I don't know, it's very soon, so I think if we're in favor, we need to act on it.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and do that.
I've got to submit paperwork on August 31st.
Okay.
Yeah, August 31st, that's what it was, yeah.
Or it'll take away the certification.
How long is it gonna take to get that software in?
I'm not sure, as long as I can certify that it's on the way, then we'll be in compliance.
Did I miss anything? You want to add anything to that? Did I miss
So
anything?
you covered everything.
So we got a second to, pay the $66.50 for the new live scan software. Do we have a second?
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. She also has some professional security lock problems. She's got multiple locks that do not work. She's contacted the company, spoke to them on several occasions. She's able to get the cost reduced. To get expert to come down and make an assessment of it, it's gonna cost $2,900 and some change, just to assess the situation.
Not to fix it.
Not to fix it. And I think these locks are quite expensive, but she's adamant that this is a desperate need, and she's asking that we approve that request.
Did you get any more bids, or this one person to, is that just, the $2,900 just?
I don't know, she's, and I imagine it's somebody through SLED or the state, I
Gotcha, okay.
would think. Do you have any information on that?
No, I don't know anything about that.
But she's been in contact with them, she's actually got the cost reduced, I think it was well over $3,000, and she got them to come down, but she was adamant about that as well.
Well, we gotta get the locks fixed, so.
Yeah, we just let so many problems build up on us,
Yeah.
sooner or later we gotta address them, so.
So move.
All right, we got a motion, have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second on the floor to allow Ms. Capers to move forward with the assessment for the security locks. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And she also has, says she currently has 18 positions allotted for the detention center. To meet the standards, we are supposed to have 25 positions filled. If we show some increase gradually, it would be a great help. And she was asking that we maybe increase it to 20 to help with overtime and necessary coverage. I told her we may wait on that until we can get a little more into the budget
Yeah,
done on
I think
things.
we,
I know it's a problem, and it's obviously something we need to address, but I think until we, not unless anybody else wants to address it, but
I think the personnel committee, maybe we can have
yeah.
a talk with her,
I
just
agree.
let her understand that we are moving forward
Yep.
in addressing the personnel need, not only for the jail, but throughout the whole county. I don't think there's any department that is not short for whatever reason. It's all over, so
Yeah.
we will get with that.
Okay. Another problem she's got, she said this numerous times, she needs more outside lighting. I think that's something as simple as just calling the power company and get them to add more lighting. If there's no opposition, I'd ask Mr. Mole if he would contact SE&G and get them to get with Mrs. Caper to provide the necessary lighting that she needs, if there's no objections from the council. Also, she's got lots, but she's been neglected, I think, for a while. So, she said professional security toilets. I had no idea what a professional security toilet was, but in layman's terms, it's a stainless steel toilet that they use in the cells. She's got numerous ones that are leaking and they're not operating. They've actually been robbing parts off of this one to make this one work. These toilets cost almost $2,800 a piece, and she is in dire need of 2 of those. But anyway, she said they're leaking, non-operational. She said she needs more than 2, but if she could get 2, they could get by with that.
Have you had a chance to take a look at it?
I have not personally. Maybe.
Mr. Chairman, one thing about it, a lot of those things you're talking there, they already, the public works director and the maintenance team is already aware of those things.
Okay.
And they're trying to work on, so
So you'll follow up with that then and see
Yes,
what's
sir.
up? Okay,
We'll follow
good deal. So there's no need for us to act if you'll follow up with it?
those things have
Anybody
been
have-
there for a while.
Okay.
Okay.
And then she was still talking about the female wing. I think we all know those problems, and I think she said she was gonna maybe talk to you and see. They're waiting on somebody in Columbia to tell them exactly what's still needed.
Yes, and like I first said, I can give you a better update on that in executive session on
Okay.
that one item.
All right,
Look at the drawing.
let's see, what else do I have? I did the detention center, I did EMS, fire, sheriff. I think that's about it. I would like to, let everybody know that myself, Mr. Robinson, and, Mr. Joe Mole, our interim administrator, and Ms. Judy Kiner, went to the SCAC, and I'm sure Mr. Robinson have some more on it, the South Carolina Association of Counties Conference. I thought it was very well. It has some very good informative meetings and classes that I think we can bring back and put to good use. And I'd also like to thank Ms. Esther Bridges and Ms. Christy Hudson during the transition of our last administrator leaving and Mr. Joe Moe coming in. I think they've stepped up to the plate tremendously and gotten a lot of things done. I know they've put a lot of time into getting some information together for the audit. Just wanted to give them a big thank you and for doing the job well. And that's all I have. Moving on, we'll go to Mr. Robinson.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. And I too like to echo what our staff have done in the absence of our administrator, Ms. Hudson, and Mrs. Bridges, along with Jan, one of the outside volunteer and consultants. Been working daily to get all the information that we need, as well as to help with the day-to-day operation. And that seemed to be coming along very smoothly. The first item is Matt and I met with our Recreational Association president last week just to talk in general about recreation. I think Matt threw out the idea of maybe a 5013C, and I'm sure he's going to be calling Mr. Sanders to talk a little more about that. Something that could supplement what we do for recreation throughout the county. I think we both were impressed with his enthusiasm and no-nonsense attitude to improve what we do here for the recreation in our community. Also, I had to go from council to meet with Judge Brandt down in the magistrate office to take a look at the condition of that trailer that he's in. I did advise him about the new trailer coming in for the animal control, to kind of take a look at that to see what he thought about maybe something very similar to that. That came in on Tuesday for the animal control. We had hoped to get it set up in place today, but I heard that's going to be the weekend before they can get back to do that. It's a pretty nice trailer. At least it was, Joe, when we looked at it 3 months ago. Now I know when you travel with a trailer for several hundred miles back and forth, because this trailer was actually went to Georgia, should have stayed in Baltimore, but they actually got the wrong trailer, so they took it down to Washington, Georgia, and had to bring it back. So, and that wear and tear on the highway, I'm sure was kind of got it out of kilter, so to speak, but hopefully we can get it back. The judge did mention to me today about a trailer that's behind the present magistrate office that he would like us to take a look at. And he thought maybe that would work. So I will take a look at that tomorrow.
I did look at it. I don't hate to interrupt, but
It's in worse shape?
it doesn't look too, maybe you'll see something I didn't see.
Well, one of the things that we had hoped to do for him, because during that conversation, as you know, there's a mold issue in that trailer. So first thing that he suggested, and I concurred, that we can clean out the vent system and see if that would help. So Mr. Moe kind of make a list of go-dos on that. I don't know if we have anyone in the area. Maybe we have to go to Aiken, I guess, to find somebody that can do vent cleaning. And if you got to stay in there any longer, but I will certainly take a look at the other one. I do believe Baltimore still has additional trailers.
They do. I was up there, yes.
Okay, so that may be Plan B. Also, Personnel Committee met with our HR manager, Ms. Hudson, last week also. And pretty much in absence of the administrator, talked more about our personnel policy and procedure moving forward until we get a new administrator in place. I thought it was a pretty informative meeting, covered pretty much the way we council like to see things in the hiring process until we get somebody involved. So I think we're on the same page. I was impressed that she's looking at some of the items that are outstanding in terms of PIBA information, which that's dealing strictly with employees and their benefits. We alerted her about any tax issues that we have with the IRS, and we do have an issue with the IRS, mainly W-2 forms. And if you don't send those forms on in time, they will penalize you for that. So we kind of asked her to keep us abreast of that. Also, I've been bombarded with calls from local citizens concerning Baltimore County and the use of their ARPA fund, American Rescue Plan funds. Baltimore certainly has taken a portion of their funding and distributed it to local businesses. I think there's about $1.5 million that Baltimore has given to about 25, 30 businesses, small homegrown businesses. And I've passed out to council a report from Baltimore County on exactly how they did it. And we have approximately $850,000 that will be drawn down at some point. And I would like to see this council at least make an attempt to use at least 10% of that to support local businesses and nonprofits. If you notice, Baltimore package, they actually funded Golden Harvest, Recreation, you name it. There was several applicants from nonprofits. And I know we have nonprofits in this community that could benefit from use of that fund. So we are strapped for funds, but I think if there's any way we can do something, we can't do it at the level Baltimore has done, but I think we can do something. At least council will take a look at that and decide to use some of that fund to help local homegrown businesses. Lastly, Baltimore County will be making a trip to Washington in the first quarter of 2023. I've spoken with some of their council person, and I'm sure Matt too has probably been in touch. And this is mainly based on the PILT. And the PILT is pretty much like the fee in lieu. It's a payment in lieu of taxes. And that's coming directly from DOE, because we do have property, Allendale County property that's inside the perimeter of the Savannah Riverside. So we get a small payment. Give you a good example, we only get about less than 100,000. Baltimore gets about 4 million. So we got a small piece. So, but every year we have to fight with our legislators to make certain that money is put in. I can remember 20 years ago or 40 years ago, there never was a problem. And that was during the height of the Cold War, and they wanted to keep everybody happy, so taxes or payment in this case was pretty much automatic. But I think, Walter, we've seen that change over the last 10 years, where we almost have to battle to make certain that money is included. Most of that money we get go to our school system. County uses very little of it. They get about 60% of that, $80,000, $90,000. So it's a great help for our school system. So we will, at some point, decide if we're going to send someone with the Baltimore group to just lobby our legislators to let them know how important that PILT is to this community. Also, on Monday, the 22nd, the SRS CRO, we will meet in Aiken and do a strategy session, and hopefully that will come up too. If you're not familiar with the SRS CRO, it's the Savannah Riverside Community Reuse Organization, and we certainly kind of support new missions at the site as well as economic development for the region. And we certainly will talk about the PILT on Monday, and hopefully we too can be very supportive of making certain that we don't lose that PILT. Now, Aiken gets probably as much or if not less than Baldwin County, so we're a small group that benefit from that. So, and I got a couple items for executive session, but I've noticed we have our executive director from Lower Savannah Council of Government, Dr. Monon. Glad to have you here.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to brief council. I know Councilperson Taylor is familiar with the OPR settlement, and I think you said on last Thursday the county will receive about $12,000 and some change for the next 18 years as part of that settlement, and that money would have to be used for alcohol and drug abuse purposes. We don't know all the details, but at least that settlement will benefit one of our agencies here in the county. Anything you want to add to that, Doctor?
That's it, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, Mrs. Taylor.
Yes. Mine will be very brief because Mr. Robinson and I are on the same committees and he did an excellent job with explaining, and I just want to thank the workers for Allendale County as well, letting them know that we're going to move forward and we're going to grow. And an update on the audit that we have, the county audit. I'm going to read the email that I just received today, not just I, but full council received today at 4:28 p.m. Can y'all understand what I'm saying? My mask on? Okay, good. It states, as of now, we have received most of the large items on the list. That was a list I gave to full council last month pertaining to our audit. It said there are 21-22 general ledgers, which includes the QS1 and QuickBooks version. The QuickBook version, which was sent to me, was not departmentalized and also has all of the funds grouped into one ledger. Whereas before, each of the funds which the county is responsible for were mostly separated into separate ledgers, which is the proper way to do it. Then it says, Esther is to speak with Jan concerning these matters. And he also stated that if we can't get all our information together, where I spoke with him on the phone, he was saying full council can get together and to agree to pass the audit so we can get our fundings, and he can put down the necessary corrections or the negative remarks in the book. And he said that's with our approval, not just mine, it's ours. He said he could proceed to complete the financial and audit based on the information provided. So, and what I gathered from that, it was saying that if council want our money to be released from the state, and he feels sure that it could be released if council agree to accept whatever the criteria or the remarks he want to put in our audit to get our funds released, he can release it.
And this is going to be based on your conversation and based what I just understand of your conversation with Buddy. It's going to be some negative comments that he's going to have to put in the management letter.
Yes, and he says it's no different than it's been previously.
But a little stronger.
It's a little stronger and a little more. So the email was sent to Rick Gooden, Teresa Taylor, Carl Gooden, Matthew Conley, and Bill Robinson. So we all got the email. But we got to move forward, you know, and decide how we want it to, our auditors to, yes, sir, Mr. Robinson?
You think you want to make a motion to that fact?
I mean, it's up to full council because like I said, he said,
Yeah, let's make a motion in a second, then we can discuss more.
That's fine.
You wanna do that?
Mhm.
Is you making a motion to accept that?
yes, what he just said today? Yes.
So we got a motion?
Second.
So we got a motion and a second to, I guess, make an agreement to accept the audit as the way it stands now?
Yes.
With the knowledge of having quite a few negative comments on it. Is there any discussion?
And
Mr. Sanders, do you have any information you'd like to share or any advice?
I think I'd be reluctant to accept something you haven't seen, because you don't know what he's gonna put in there.
I was just wondering how, if it's gonna be that negative, will it affect us?
Well, one other option, either the state gonna hold up our funds, or he can come to our next meeting. He said that too, and he can just talk to full council. Whatever take place, it needs to be laid out on the table. We need to move forward by finding out where we at, and if he's the one got the answers, then he need to come talk to us.
Well, I think as negative as it may be, it won't change whether you do it now or you do it 30 days later. The negative portion of his findings, it won't change. I think what we're trying to do at this point is at least accept the negative comments concerning how the financial posture of this county is in order to satisfy the state requirement that an audit be completed to release the money. Now we can go back, we won't change the negative comments in 30 days or 60 days because it is what it is. It won't change. It may change next year because of QuickBook and some of the other procedure we put in place to track monies a little better. I think we're all concerned about having our monies released so we can do the people business. We can. And I don't want to see this county having to borrow money when we have about $4 million that's being held up. And we can't afford not to, not to do what we have to do. And Walter, I understand what you're saying, but I don't see where negative comments at this junction are going to change. And if you go back and look at what he's put in there over the years, it can't be too worse.
Mr. Ball?
Yes, and I think it would be just for us to add this to you, that the result of what you received there was because today at about 4 and reviewing the checklist with Esther, sending the documents, I told her that I wanted to call him. So when we called and was talking with him and sort of making a cry or plea because he's, well, where is your accounts and whatever, because we're at a low point. So then there's 2 documents that he really needed, and that was the breakout. He said that what we sent him on the QuickBooks didn't break out departmental type salaries and whatever. But we assured him that we would get those 2 documents. I left Esther, believe it or not, at the office getting those 2. So when he said, well, considering this and whatever, and whatever, he said, I'm going to send counsel a letter, an email. So that is, he followed through, but we did sort of made an appeal to him and acknowledged what we sent him, but he did say he needs some more, and just what you said there. He said there were some things that would be added, but.
Did you get from him the same
yes.
sentiments, Mr. Roberts?
Yes, sir.
That
Basically,
no matter what we do from here, it's going to basically.
That's right. But he was willing to, like I first said, if he said we need help and whatever, he told us what they asked Jan to help send him, but he was convinced that we are definitely striving to get him what he needs on behalf of this.
And again, thank you for leading the way, and the ladies also for doing some of the work to get what we have gotten so far. So thank you also. Mr. Sanders, anything else you want to add?
Nothing else.
Chairman, I call for the question.
All right, all right, so the motion and second is that we accept the findings of the audit as they are today. Is that good enough?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. All right, the county administrator report, Mr. Mole.
Mr. Chairman, to the council, basically, I just have a few items again for executive session, but openly for them. First thing, I want to thank you again for the opportunity. And if I could go back and piggyback off the South Carolina Association's Government Institute, I'd like to be known, of course, that I'm able to graduate in the graduating class on level 1 this session.
Congratulations.
So we're able to accomplish that. The only other thing that I have for the open forum is I continue to like to solicit the full, strong commitment, of course, of the council during this transitional period. And because there is some things, of course, that we having to work with, we need your support, some things, of course, we come up with, we're going to need your assistance ASAP and whatever to move forward. Our intent, and I'll state this publicly, our intent is to manifest a more of a stronger reform period, I would say. And what I mean by that is to restore some, I feel, needed structure that's going to bring about a better business and a credible image for the administration business of Allendale County. So, and I'm very comfortable that would help you in that with the team you spoke about, the team you spoke with, this very, very needed much for as the help we've talked about before and whatever, hopefully that's moving forward. But the team that we do have is cohesively joined together, trying to get everybody what they need. In closing, I'm going to have of course, every Monday morning at 8:30 is our office staff meeting where we align, find out exactly what we have, what's the target. But the other big part is on Wednesday, I'm sending out the notice calls for a departmental head meeting, restoring that. Because a lot of things that, as you say, is funds or what are coming in, but I want to also keep the department heads on that there's a lot of things that may not be fast-tracked due to transition, financial budgets and whatever. We'll note them, so I want to be able to, again, give them a better channel of how to focus those things that needs to get to us as it once was in the past. They've come by having that department head meeting once a month. And basically that's all I want to have, and thank you again for open forum, and the other basic thing, few things is executive session.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator. Now time for the attorney report. Mr. Sanders.
Well, I'd like to thank the county and the council for your thoughts and prayers and phone calls and cards concerning my previous illness. I'm glad to report that I've been cleared to go forward as usual, so, but everything came out wonderful, and I'm recovered.
Good.
Awesome.
The only other thing I have is I have gotten this is concerning the Boogaloo crossing. I have actually got the plats, hard copies of plats that we need, and the next step will be getting that property deeded to the county. Is that the last thing we need to do before we start on that property?
Well, that's, the next step will be moving back to the review and the revising of the construction agreement, but yes, everything from here on is pointing towards, and you, of course, when we get to that part, when they revised it, because we had to go back and make some changes recently, but that'll be coming to your review and council for the review of the construction agreement.
So we're looking at 2023, we should have it completed. 15 years.
Yeah, I'd like to say too, Mr. Bowl, thank you for all your hard work on that. He's kept me in the loop pretty much since I was in my district, and I know we've met with the folks out there quite a few times, and thank you for staying the course on that long project. Looks like we're finally getting some headway on that. Any old business we need to discuss?
Make a motion that we go into executive session.
We got some new business.
You got some new business?
Yep, new business. We got the second reading
Oh, yeah.
of the amendment
On the audience.
of the ordinance for the animal control ordinance.
Chair make a motion, we accept second reading of the animal control ordinance.
Second.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to accept the second reading of ordinance 93-74. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Now you want to, let's go to executive?
Yes, sir. Make a motion, we go into executive session, take a 5-minute break.
So move.
Second,
5 minutes to
move into executive session.
Meet.
Meeting back to order.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Robinson.
I make a motion that we extend our continued resolution on our budget for a period of 90 days, which will take us into November 30th, 2022.
Okay. Got a motion to extend the resolution for our budget until November the 30th. Have a second?
Second.
We got a motion and a second to extend the budget to November 30th. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Chairman, make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
So carried, so moved. We adjourn. Lost my train of thought.